The Winning of Knighthood is about how Arthur became king of the Britons. You will learn about this while listening to my luxuriously monotone voice. Also, small side note, you probably already know the story. It's the really popular one that everybody knows. Yeah. These are the 5 most important characters in the story. Ector, who is Arthur's adopted father. Kay, who is his stepbrother and who Arthur serves as a squire to. Arthur, who is the main character and eventually becomes the king. Merlin, the wizard who placed Arthur in Ector's care. And the archbishop, who does nothing, he's just kind of there. At the beginning of the story, Kay informs his father, Ector, that there is a tournament being held in London that he really wants to compete in. And like any father, he decides to make a family trip out of it and just make everyone's life miserable. As you may or may not be able to tell with my impeccable Microsoft Paint skills, there's a fight, and yeah, Kay's sword breaks in the middle of it, which brings us to the next part. Just admire these swords. This is when Kay tells Arthur to go and grab him a sword after his sword breaks, and Arthur asks where he should get one, and Kay pretty much just yells at him to hurry because he doesn't want to insult the family name by not being in the fight. Arthur uses his incredible judgment and decides that he should take a sword from the anvil in front of the cathedral, thinking it is just a war memorial. Honestly, I have no idea how he becomes a great king with this much intelligence and respect for others. Here, Arthur brings his newly acquired sword to Kay, who immediately recognizes it and wishes to bring it before Ector. Also, ignoring the frame where it says Arthur, it should say Kay. I'm just a Neanderthal who doesn't know what he's typing. Here, Kay brings the sword before Ector, claiming that he pulled the sword from the stone. Ector then wishes to see this miracle himself, insisting that Kay should perform it before him. For some reason, Kay thinks this would work, which makes no sense, but whatever. Also, ignore the fact there is no sword in the picture. That is completely irrelevant. Kay gets before the anvil and then realizes that he's about to look like a total idiot, and then Ector right here gets a little confused, and Arthur for some reason asks if he can speak. Here's another reason why I'm confused on how great a king he must be if he's more like a trained dog than an actual person. After Arthur is allowed to speak, he tells Ector that he was the one who pulled the sword out of the anvil. Ector, who at this point is rather skeptical, decides that it couldn't hurt to let him try, and then Arthur actually succeeds in returning the sword to the anvil, and Ector just can't speak coherently, and Kay, who obviously has ADHD, is unable to stop waving his arms. Ector, who is now able to make words come out of his mouth, gets on his knees and kneels before Arthur, and begins asking himself questions. He then tells Arthur that he is not his true father, and then Arthur gets a little confused. Small side note, I was going to play "You Are Not the Father" audio clip, but my computer hates me, so I couldn't. Ector then tells Arthur about the circumstances around his birth, which are a little confusing. So essentially, Arthur is the son of Uther Pendragon, the old king of Camelot. Merlin appears out of nowhere, more or less, and Ector tells him that Arthur would be the next king of Camelot multiple times, very, very, very quickly. In which Merlin responds that he's been watching Arthur since his birth, making Merlin either the weirdest stalker ever or very committed to watching him. Something that I accidentally left out before was that many nobles were trying to pull out the sword, but none of them could, for obvious reasons. Merlin then tells Arthur to follow him to the stone, which he obediently does. Arthur leaps up onto the stone and pulls it straight out of it in front of the archbishop, and the archbishop then goes to ask Merlin, who is this guy? And he's like the son of Uther Pendragon, which, as nobody thought he had a kid, was a little confusing to most people. Well, there are still a group of nobles that complain about Arthur being made king of Camelot, as they believe he is an unbearded boy. Many of the townspeople and some of the nobles go and they congratulate him, they talk to him. This is where the story ends. It drops off from here. That's it. So, thanks for at least tolerating this absolutely amazing presentation, and yeah, thanks.